And we're live. Hi, welcome, Unicorn Chef, Mike Ellis. You guys probably all know me more so for my love of ketchup, box wine, and cooking. But welcome to the show. If you're watching and you want to share anything on any of the social medias, there's a banner at the bottom that says follow us on X or on Twitch or on YouTube or on Facebook. Just remember to tag us, just so we know that you're actually there. Even if you have something negative to say about Patrick Laverty, our guest. Patrick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How about you tonight, Mike?
I want to say that I'm good because I have to.
Okay.
That's what. Sorry, my phone is being ridiculous. No, things are good, man.
But it's a Wednesday night, so we're cooking.
Right. What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Well, last night I did the whiskey, so I think tonight will go a little bit easier, and we'll rehydrate with just a little bit of Gatorade, the drink of champions.
Okay. I wasn't expecting to have a chicken on the show. That's fine.
It's okay. I can go back into the whiskey at some point, depending on how well this goes. If it's as horrendous as it is potentially, we'll be digging in there pretty quickly.
Well, the last time we did this, we did chicken cordon bleu. If I'm not bleu.
I think that's how it came out too. It was bleu.
Mine was okay. Mine just like there was melted cheese everywhere. I think there's something wrong with putting a half pound of cheese in per chicken breast. But. And
wasn't that also the one where Rob just pulled one out of the freezer, microwaved it, and said, "Yep, mine's good too."
that was an interesting when he just did a chicken. Yeah, he really did that. I don't remember what we were cooking, but he couldn't. I don't think it was the salmon episode. It was a different one. But yeah, no, frozen chicken patty in the microwave for someone. He's like, "Oh, I hope you enjoy this." I'm like, so these things can get out of hand. So
yeah, what do we do with the other 59 minutes, Rob?
Right. It's even like when you cook with salmon. Like, okay, well, 5 minutes we're cooked. You know, I like my salmon raw.
Pretty much like tuna.
Right.
Yeah, I love that when you order a tuna steak in the restaurant. They're like, "How do you want that cooked?" And it's like, "Are you kidding?" If I say anything other than rare, just kick me out.
For you, because I've missed you. I've brought in a high value boxed wine.
Look at that.
This is a Nighthawk by Boda. Boda is a wonderful company.
Okay.
This has won 150 awards.
From you?
For the most part.
Yeah.
I think one of the awards was best corrugate, best cardboard. But either way, it's delicious. So.
Easiest to open.
I have the spigot. You can hear it pouring.
I hope that's the wine, though.
No. No, we're live now, so I can't go to the bathroom. So what are we cooking? What do you got?
All right, so let's see. How about we make some pizza? Because, it's such a pain in the neck to call somebody on the phone and have it delivered like 20 minutes later. So instead, let's make some pizza that can take a while. But it's so much better when you just what this is really good for is rainy days with kids, summer vacations, winter vacations when the kids are like, "I'm so bored." It's like, well, let's make pizza. You get your hands right in there, get your hands all messy with the dough, and then each kid can make their own little personal pizza, throw whatever piles of ingredients they want on there, because we know what's the best ingredient on pizza, right, Mike?
Every pizza plus pineapple.
It's got to have the pineapple, right?
You know, it's an honest to God true story. I forgot to get pineapple.
How'd you forget?
I swear to God. I have my guanciale because I learned how to say. Bryson makes me learn to say accents, so I had this. It's a guanciale. So pepperoni and mozzarella and onions and mushrooms, and I literally forgot it. So
it's all good. Well, hopefully the Italians won't be too upset with this.
And you make your own dough. And Italy, forget about Italy. They don't even drink cappuccino afternoon. Forget about those pasta.
All right, Connecticut. Hopefully we don't upset Connecticut.
Okay.
Because we know they make the best pizza, right?
Oh, God. I don't want to dox you, but I know that you say that with love because you're around that area.
They're not far away from me, and they could be right at the door.
Down in Connecticut. So show me. Make some.
We got to start making stuff?
Yeah.
All right, so we got two cameras here, so we can start showing some of the ingredients.
I like Pizza Bot. Pizza Bot's a cool dude.
Yeah, Pizza Bot's going pretty well down there. And let's see. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to make some yeast so that this is going to get air bubbles in it. So we got some of that. Look at that. We got some yeast for it. The other, you're about to speak.
It's just like a basic dry yeast, yeah?
Yeah, active dry yeast. I think Fleischmann's would be fine.
Yeast.
Or yeast. This is about as generic as it gets.
Okay.
So with our yeast, we also need a little bit of sugar. We need some warm water. So I guess we can get going with that, right, Mike? Let me get a little bowl.
Well, while you're getting that together, I've made, and we both have actually. We both pre-made dough.
We did.
So
Look
this
at
is
that.
my dough. This is how, for me, this is how you can tell when dough is good.
We'll try that.
Feels like a good old thick booty.
There we go. My bowl's too big to really get in there. But all right. So let's see. Let's get our yeast going here.
Okay.
So we're just gonna use one since I got two of them here. Get rid of one. Dump this in there.
Scissors? I thought a Cro-Magnon man like you would just rip with teeth. Show that yeast who's boss.
Does not look infected, so we're good there.
Fair.
Okay.
Actually, while you're doing this, I'm going to chop some onion. Tell me.
All right, yeah, chop up some onion. While I'm going to also throw in, let's see, where's my measuring things here? Do we have to measure, Mike? So I'm going to put in about 1.5 teaspoons of sugar in there with the yeast.
And you're putting sugar in there because the yeast needs sugar to feed, right?
We got to feed it.
It's a living organism.
Well, yeah.
Evan said it's a living orgasm, whatever that is.
No idea. At our age. All right. And then we also need some water.
Okay.
So we want about 3/4 cup of warm water, not hot, not cold.
Yep.
So we're gonna get that going.
Is the term for that type of water tepid? Did somebody say tepid?
Tepid.
And of course, for the folks that are here on that are watching live on YouTube, by all means, if you have a question, put it in the comment. I'll read your comment. I won't say who exactly you are unless you want me to, and I won't give away your home address.
All right. Mixing all this up so we can activate our yeast.
Okay.
It's a little bit sleepy right now. We're doing that.
So the yeast is kind of like a squad that needs to be activated.
Yeah, little yeasties. But this is going
If
to
you
take
have three- if you have 3 particles of yeast together, are they called the Yeasty Boys?
Gotta check my head on that one. All right, so we're going to set the yeast aside to do its thing for probably like 10 minutes while you cut your onions.
At least I'm not cutting the cheese.
I was looking for whether you had cheese there. Oh, house is on fire.
That's my oven. And I never had a house fire. That had nothing to do with me. That was Raul. Sorry.
Should we start getting our very slowly since we got 10 minutes? I wasn't sure whether to do the yeast before we started since we got to wait the 10 minutes or so, but I figured you and I can just have a conversation.
Well, the reason I said I don't want to dox you is because of layer 8, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Layer 8's coming up soon.
When is it?
Layer 8 is on June 14th. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be in Boston, Massachusetts. So This is going to be the 5th iteration of it.
Fair.
Where we had the first one in Newport, Rhode Island in 2018.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Providence, Rhode Island in 2019. And then we were going to have it in Providence again in 2020, but I think the world imploded. So,
You know, it's funny too because I even if I can't attend Layer 8, I always buy a ticket because I'm local to New England. I think it's appropriate to support. But that one in COVID really hurt me because I had, my truck full of guys, and we were. Sounds ominous, but I had all the seats in my truck filled. At the time, I had just had a kid. I just had my son, And it was like the first weekend I was going away, and it was, or the first day that I was going away, and I was so excited. And then, COVID happened, and it just made me very depressed. So I'm happy it's in Boston. Boston's just down the road from me.
And it's going to be at right downtown near Fenway Park too.
Really?
Yeah.
So what does Layer 8 do?
So Layer 8 is the first conference of its kind to solely focus on OSINT and social engineering issues. So we have 2 tracks, where we have 1 track on OSINT, 1 on social engineering, and that's what we do all day, nothing else. 2 incredible keynote speakers on the OSINT side. We got Ray Baker, which I'm sure people in the OSINT world have heard of, as she wrote the book on OSINT called Deep Dive.
Who?
What's that?
I missed the second person, my friend. I'm sorry.
I didn't give you the second name yet. So I was talking about Ray Baker's book, Deep Dive, that she wrote, which is highly recommended to get that book. And actually at Layer 8, we're going to have a book signing of Deep Dive with Ray, so that she can sign that for people. You can bring your own book. We'll have books for sale, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
So that should be all good. On the social engineering side, we got Ellis Dennis is going to be our keynote speaker. You probably remember Ellis as the person who won the black badge at DEF CON in the social engineering capture the flag competition. And remember, she accepted the black badge on stage at DEF CON while holding her newborn baby.
Love it.
So
love it.
That's what we're going to have there, as well as a incredible sponsor village, vendor hall, all that kind of stuff. We're going to have a lockpick village with Tool, and our friend Max Power is going to be there with a whole bunch of locks, so that people can learn how to do that and learn how locks work. We got some incredible speakers throughout the day. We have some fun swag. We got really cool. I wish I had one today. A little fun Blinky badge, since we know badge life is something that people like. So we got those from Foxpick. I think people like those as well.
Are the Blinky badges already prepared to be Blinky, or do you have to go to like a soldering part and learn how to connect?
We are not technical at our conference, so they are going to already work. If they needed to be soldered, I don't think I told them I won't be able to do that. So they're coming already. Just need to drop in a battery and they'll do the Blinky thing.
I love it.
Yeah, maybe in the future we can add some games or something else to them, but we're just kind of getting our feet back under us after a couple of years of not being able to have in-person conferences, and we're just going to try it again this year. So it's only $50. Plus, you can get 8 CPEs if you're a CISSP type person.
Oh, no kidding.
If you need those, you can get eight of those, $50. Lunch is included, as well as a whole bunch of fun.
Are you cooking lunch?
No.
Good.
Yeah. That would be.
I would need it if you were cooking lunch.
All right, I'm going to throw some flour into my bowl here. So we
vamped for 10 minutes. We're so good.
Yeah, I don't know how much time it is.
Oh, I think we did.
Probably at least 5, but these can still sit there. So get some more flour here. Let's see what's in this one. Yeah, there's flour.
So while you're doing this, I've taken guanciale, sliced onions, and now I'm going to slice up some mushrooms. And I'm just cooking it all together.
Pig cheek going on, huh? You get the pig cheek jowls?
Yeah. Yep.
Where'd you get that?
At Demoulas, as I like to call it.
Market Basket?
Yes, sir.
My first job in my whole life was at Demoulas.
No kidding.
Now Market Basket? Yeah. Nashua, New Hampshire.
In Nashua?
Yeah.
We call that Trashua out here now.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was bagging groceries there for my first job. I think making $3.25 an hour way back in, 1984.
Yeah, well, wow. Yeah, no, it's always painful to think back at your first job and how little you made.
Yeah.
I know minimum wage now, I think around here, or not here, New Hampshire's terrible. But I think in Massachusetts, a lot of folks are making like $15 an hour.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Summer job.
Rhode Island too.
Right.
All right.
So how much flour do you put in that?
So far, 1 cup, because I'm going to do it gradually. It'll be about 2 cups when we're all done.
Right.
Yeah, because I guess we're supposed to measure things. Same thing with basil. I think the recipe for salmon. I don't know. Do that.
You're seasoning your dough?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's actually fancy.
It's also fun to season it with a little bit of garlic powder. Get that in there.
Dave's garlic powder. That seems fancy.
It's Dave's Fresh Marketplace.
A lot of folks always ask what kind of cutlery we use. This is a Kramer by Zwilling, 11-inch chef's knife.
You don't have Cutco?
It's quite nice. I would dance with the knife, bring back another infamous unicorn event, but
seems like there's a bit of history to unicorn chef nights.
yeah, yep. It was I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he's a nice enough guy. But he was cutting with some like Cutco knife. So I'd seen this knife, and I know it's Cutco. So I'd made a joke. I'm like, "Oh, what are you cutting with?" And then he picked up two knives, and he was kind of like dancing and twirling this knife around in his hand. I'm like, "Odd, fair enough."
I mentioned that I had my first job at Demoulas. I also had a job selling Cutco.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know how many I sold?
How many?
Absolutely none. I was a terrible salesman. And I make sure I don't do it now. I don't do sales now either. So
we were. So I have, or just so people are familiar, a lot of people put raw vegetables on pizza.
Yep.
I prefer not to.
Because the pizza cooks so fast, the vegetables don't have time to cook. Get some salt in there with us.
So because I have guanciale in there, I'm not going to salt anything.
Yeah, you got plenty there.
Oh, yeah. But I am going to Italian it up a little bit with some. I'm trying to find the damn camera. Here it is. Some Italian. And what else should I put in here, buddy? Garlic? Okay, cool.
The yeast is looking good. The yeast is getting foamy. You should show that.
So it's interesting. Yeah. As the yeast starts to come alive and feed, it farts, gives off gas. Love it.
Yeah.
More bubbles, more fluffy dough.
Almost like a Guinness.
Oh, it looks like gorgeous. It's funny too because a lot of folks will put beer in their dough.
Really, I've never put beer in it.
Yep.
You do a heavy beer like a Guinness?
I think a lot of folks. I think the hipsters are kind of doing like IPA things because they're hipsters.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're doing kind of like heavier, kind of more yeasty beers, I guess you could say. Not necessarily flavorful beers.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've said yeasty today more than I've ever said in my life.
Which is like 2 or 3 times so far?
4.
Okay. You kept count.
4 times. 4. Because I have to be careful because I know. So it's funny when you're doing these things and people are like, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" And I tell them I'm doing a cooking show with Patrick Laverty. They're like, "Oh, can I join?" And I'm always like, "Yes, that'd be cool." But in the back of my head, I'm like, "Now I can't say shit I want to say."
Hopefully none of those people are here, so you can say whatever you want.
I think Gabby is here. I think she's in the audience. So, Gabby, if you're there, hello. Don't yell at me.
All right. Let's see what else here. Let's put some olive oil into our dough. Like a couple tablespoons of that.
It's interesting too. You have to put like a fat in the dough to make it.
Well, and then the dough gets into the fat when I eat it.
You said that.
Yeah, I got no problem with that. All right. Get my second cup of flour ready for when that needs to go in.
Okay.
Okay, so we get that ready. More Gatorade.
So you add the flour slowly to this. You don't just whack it in and mix it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I always used to just dump it in, but that seems like a pain in the neck. And it seems to blend better when you do it gradually.
I will tell you from making those two doughs, adding it together is dumb. And messy. I look like Sauron.
One of the benefits of making pizza is just being able to eat the pepperoni as you go.
Oh,
You have pepperoni there?
oh hell yeah! Did you get Corondo?
Yeah, exactly. Look at that.
This,
Twinsies.
I think we should go in my garage and practice kung fu.
I know kung fu.
I know that and 4 other Asian-sounding names.
Oh, wow. You got a really good amount of foam going here.
I love it.
Let's see. Get that set up properly. So now we can just put this in.
I think it'd be funny and terrible if it exploded.
I hope you would call the police for me or somebody for me.
When I was done laughing, yeah, I would. Eventually.
Now the mixing starts. Helps the mixing go down.
So do you find being in your 50s with all your life experience having an incredibly strong wrist now helps for stirring pasta or stirring pizza dough?
Absolutely. And I appreciate you mentioning the 50s because that reminds me of another a story that I have just from I think it was yesterday. So I was at the gym, and as you know, I recently had my hip replaced.
I do.
So I was talking to somebody else at the gym that had their hip replaced. So we of course start talking about how we're really old and these things happen to old people and all this. And he's telling me how he's like super old. And of course, I look at him like, oh, you're not really that old. He's like, well, I'm a good bit older than you. And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, how old are you? 60 what? And I was like, oh.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm 55, dude.
I just turned 50 last September, so I'm 51 coming this year. But I don't feel old. You know what I mean?
I still think of myself like 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
But then my body says, no.
Yeah, I was going to say hips are a motherfucker too. But you have a titanium hip nut. Like you cannot go through. You're like the $1 million man.
That's right. My kid keeps calling me the Bionic Man.
So do you have like a card for when you go through airport security now?
That's also funny. I just flew a bunch of times over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And first I went through Boston, walked right through the metal detector, no problem. And then I just recently spoke down at Hack Miami conference. And getting to Miami, no problem, right through the metal detector. On the way back, metal detector goes off. So, of course, they have me back up, go through again. And they're like, do you have any metal on you? I'm like, no, the pockets are empty. I'm like, oh, I had my hip replaced. TSA was like, don't even bother going through the metal detector. Always go through the other, that x-ray machine. I'm like, this is the 5th time I've gone through and it's never set off. Which then my wife asked the question, why aren't these all calibrated the same way? And if I'm able to get through some, do the bad guys know that? And they're able to get things through.
Fair. Yeah.
Obviously, Miami's catching things. Boston didn't. Which, yeah, also, speaking of speaking engagements, this Sunday, I'm going to be in Chicago for B-Sides 312, which is the day after ThoughtCon, telling people about how a hacker can murder an entire country.
Okay, you have to quantify that. How can a hacker murder an entire country? Because I'm kind of a hacker, and I definitely want to kill. Don't
Okay, cool.
don't publish that for whoever's viewing.
Yeah, I never have let it be recorded like at Hack Miami. They were releasing some of the videos. They asked if they could record this one. I'm like, no. So basically, it's social engineering covert entry into a resource facility for a nation state. So being able to access certain parts of this critical infrastructure, you could then murder the whole municipality, country, whoever that feeds. So that's my presentation where I talk for about 45 minutes on all the ways that we got access into this critical access facility, all the things that we were able to do, different bad things that we could have done to, and it's a whole lot of fun. So that'll be this Sunday in Chicago.
I think it's in. So like my career is not in information security. My career is not in tech. My education is. So that's why I'm so connected to this community of crazy people.
So you wanted to get out.
Yeah. Well, I went into finance, so it's not that I'm not that bright. I'm just better at Excel than I am at reading logs. That's all. And I tell a good friend of mine, Scott, I can't stand CISOs, but I can't because it's my life in finance. But it's interesting when you talk to folks about physical security and about pen tests, because everybody has this perception that there's a guy, which is a really sad perception, but there's a guy sitting at a Starbucks and he's connected to their Wi-Fi and he's hacking your Gibson and he's dropping a Hydra at the command, or sorry, not even at the command line, at like a username interface, and he's dropping things in and he's breaching, and that's not really. It's a dude like me that walks behind you when you connect your pin pad to the door and you walk in your facility.
Right. Yeah.
It's that fucking simple, And
that's part of my presentation is I tell people, like, look at me. How harmless do I look? I'm adorable. I can just. Yeah. I'm not going to do anything bad.
Yeah.
Unless some do, I guess. But.
Well, if you are going to do something bad, it's probably going to be in the bathroom, and that's fair.
At our age, yeah.
Right. And then you got to juxtapose. You got to juxtapose physical pen tests and OSINT. Like I love. So my career started in credit and collections.
Okay.
And I really call debt collectors the original OSINTers, because when you're chasing your debtor, you can't find your debtor. Everybody started making disks back in the day of known addresses.
Okay.
We used to call the cell phone company and pretend to be you and get your phone records.
So you're doing your social engineering.
Right. So there's all these elements of third-party debt collection that are so prevalent now, and they always were, but they're so prevalent now in the OSINTer community that, that bridge between debt collectors and, tech-minded OSINTers is kind of the same. Pick your target. When I first started collecting debt, if you were ignoring me, I'd call your neighbor. Yeah. And I'd be like, you live beside Patrick, yeah? Do you know he's avoiding me because he can't afford to pay a $50 phone bill? Do you know that's the person you live beside? But it was figuring out, where you live, who the person is beside you, what their phone number is, and using resources, that people were starting to build at the time to do that. So I grant, am I proud of those things? Yes.
How successful were you in collecting?
Yeah.
Once it gets to collections, isn't it just like pennies on the dollar that you ever get?
Yeah. I mean, there's things you can do now to get paid in full. You try we call it PIF and BIF.
Yeah.
But, there's things that you try to do for payment in full, or balance in full. But, when something goes to a collection agency, there's, generally a negotiation or a negotiated balance. Look at you roll that. I want you to massage me. Hi, Daddy. So what are you doing? Roll, flour, roll?
Yeah, just tucking it under and rolling it all through, opening it back up again to make sure we get flour all the way through it.
You're so gentle.
Getting rid of the stickiness.
Yeah, so we'll go back to debt collection in a second. But the stickiness part is really interesting for dough because it should be elastic. Yeah, that's a nice looking dough.
Dough. Okay. Let's put that back down. All right. So what do we have to do with dough at this point?
Cover it. Damp cloth.
Where's the cloth?
That's what I did. Is that what you do?
Yeah, I got my cloth.
It's even red too. You're so Italian.
Look at that.
Love
Well, it's even better. Let's see. Look at this side. Got little.
What's that? An octopus?
Yeah.
Octopi.
Multiple octopi.
Love it. I don't have anything that fancy.
All right. So now we have to wait. What do you figure? An hour, 2 hours until that rises?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, so both of mine rose probably within an hour.
Yeah.
And then I let the air out and then let it rise again.
So you made it fart.
Yeah. I made it toot. And actually I smelled it when it tooted to make sure that it was really yeasty. To make sure it smelled like, old beer, to be honest.
And this is why we is it pre-prepped or just prepped?
Pre-prep. Pre-prep.
Where we actually have risen dough. Look at that.
For those wondering what my onions and mushrooms and guanciale look like, this is it.
That looks really good. Yeah, I was cooking last night, and I was kind of wishing that last night's meal was on here, where I made chicken, rice, bean, and chipotle pepper burritos.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, they were good. All right.
It's a lot more finger intense. So how are you going to roll it? Are you going to roll dough now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of my favorite places to roll the dough is right here on the counter.
Okay.
I made sure that before we started, I scrubbed it all down so it's like super clean.
So you're a chicken and you're afraid of diseases?
Well, I don't want any chicken on here. That would be really bad.
Fair.
But I am going to throw flour down on the counter.
Okay.
So it doesn't stick. Now we got our...
Sorry, I have to disappear out of camera to get some flour.
Okay. Do what you got to do, man. I'm looking for some good tools too. So I actually had one of those like rectangle pizza dough cutter thingies. I don't know where it is now though. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Got one of those tools.
Good. Can I send you one? Oh, you have it?
Yeah, I found it. Strong. So how do you cook yours? What do you put it on?
So I'm kind of like an anti-hero. So you're going to Chicago, you're doing 312, right?
Yeah.
Chicago is home to the deep dish pizza, which is, it's a cheese casserole. Oh, you're doing a cast. Yeah, I'm doing just a square pan. Okay. I'm just gonna put a little bit of spray down. It doesn't really assist in cooking, but it actually helps to grip the. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's pretty. I don't have those fancy things, man.
Oh, we also got this. We could do it on there.
Kelly, look. Oh, that's a pizza stone, yeah?
Yeah, pizza stone.
Yeah.
But lately, I'd like the cast iron, so we're gonna do that.
Okay.
So I usually like to just knead it into a ball again, just like we were before.
Okay.
And in college, I actually had a job at Pizza Hut where I did learn how to do the whole tossing thing.
So I'm pretty good at tossing like salad, but I've never been good at pizza. No?
Okay.
No.
You can toss salad all you want, Mike. But we're not going to do that. Salad's not on the menu today.
Salad? No. No romaine lettuce? No.
No.
You want to be like that? That's fine. You know what's interesting? Is
stretch it gradually here. I know lots of times people can get like super impatient with the stretching and rip it. So then you're going to start all over. I usually just kind of try to work it out from the middle and try to get it as round as possible, but it's never going to be round when I'm doing this from home.
A little bit of bounce back never hurt anybody, to be honest. Even if you pick up and use gravity, which I prefer to do.
Let's even give this a toss. There we go.
For me, so I made a pizza a couple of years ago. I'll say 4 years ago. And it was just an abomination. It was overcooked. I think at the time, my kids were crying or something or other, and I could not, I could not get to it. Overcooked, and I said, as soon as a mistake like that happens, I'm like, oh, I should put that on Twitter. So
I screwed that up. Let me tell everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of he calls it, my wife calls it my brand. My brand is chaos and cooking, which I think is appropriate.
Check this out. This is like pretty good estimation of.
That's not bad, dude, and that's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, oops. Drop the phone. You got flower hands.
Pizza bot.
Yep, pizza bot fell.
All right.
So here's another trick that I learned working in the restaurants. Is this one that you also do when you get the dough down to stab it?
Yeah, to make some air pockets.
Yeah, and make sure you don't get the big bubbles. And I remember they also said it helps the sauce stick better, which I never really understood. So I think that's a bunch of crap.
Did you make your own sauce or you buy it?
I made my own and I put it in this rouse jar. So yeah, I put it in the rouse. It's from tomatoes from my own garden, and then I just stored it in here, and I even actually sealed the cover again too.
So this is my first one.
Well, we're really just trying to prevent air bubbles.
And do you roll out like a viable thick kind of crust?
I try to get it as thin as possible. Yeah. It seems like every time that I do this, it comes out thicker than I wanted it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to put some oil on the pan so it doesn't stick.
So I always spray the pan just a little bit, like kind of more corners.
You can do that too.
Just because the dough tends to stick.
Yeah, it does.
When you do that, which I like a sticky dough. Yummy.
There we go. Have you also noticed that you use a lot less sauce than you would think you do?
Oh God, yeah. I always buy these large containers. I actually like adding, if I make like a spaghetti. Actually, I'm not opposed to adding some pizza sauce to the spaghetti.
Not a lot of difference, I think.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time it kind of goes a little bit more tomatoey. I will say though, I've never really been able to tell, like, oh, there's pizza sauce in here. Like that's never happened.
So here's my other thing, Mike. I noticed that lots of times when I put all the toppings on there, the dough doesn't fully cook.
Yep. So
I'm putting my dough in the oven first.
Okay. Yeah, I put sauce on and then I cook it for about 5 minutes.
So I got my oven at 475. I know in professional pizza kitchens they even get it up to like 700.
Oh God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You want this sucker super hot, but my home oven doesn't fit that hot. Right, so while that sets, just roll out the other one.
Well, sorry, I feel like singing. Can I sing a song?
Yeah, go for it. What you got?
Well, the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie.
Thought you were going back to the Beastie Boys.
Can't stand it. It's funny to look back at the Beastie Boys with like a 50-year-old like sentiment. You're like, that song is freaking annoying.
You know what's really annoying, especially at our age? Do you remember from the 80s, Winger? You probably remember.
Kip Winger?
Yeah. And remember his song 17? And when we were teenagers being like, yeah, Kip Winger and all your songs. And then you have a 17-year-old daughter and you're like, oh, this is
like if you look, yeah, Kip Winger taught me what Tell me what I shouldn't do with tight pants. It's hard to be Irish and wear nut huggers, if you know what I'm saying. No? Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, this dough turned out perfect, I gotta say.
You get some perfect dough happening?
Yep.
Nice.
So I'm making a pie for my wife and I. Making it unlike Dr. Seuss of pizza. Making a pie for my wife and I. Then I'm going to put some sauce in her eye. Pizza sauce, you dirty sons of bitches. But
I hope we don't die.
Oh, please tell me why. So I'm doing the knuckle stretch.
Yep.
Which is the precursor to the toss. Not the salad toss, but the dough toss.
See, I've also had thoughts about the rolling pin, and I feel like it takes too much air out of it.
Way too much. Your dough gets, I find personally, the dough gets
just cardboard.
Thicker. Yeah. Like for me, this is perfect for me.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Got your nice square pie.
Yeah. It's a nice square pie. Back when I was in Genovese, Italy. You can punch me for that, by the way. I'm okay with that. So when you do this cooking, do you make your wife clean or do you clean up after yourself?
Oh, it's so nice. I cook, she cleans.
Love it.
Great deal.
So I have to ask you a question about layering.
Okay, cool.
Why do you not have like a VIP package? Why is it only $50?
Because it's community-based, and I want to make sure that it's affordable and accessible to everybody. And there really isn't anything VIP-ish that we could give to people. We do have a super supporter ticket for $100, but it specifically says with that ticket, you get nothing extra. This is just because you support us, and the extra money is purely a donation. And every time we actually have people buy those, we give that.
You should do a sign up for folks that want to cook here. Come on, we'll help them.
All right.
So, what brand of cast iron is that? I'm a brand snob. I'm good friends with Jason Thomas, and I've learned how to be brand based.
I don't know. Let's see. Trying to find the bottom.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Oh.
Is
Says,
it Staub?
artisanal kitchen supply is what it says. Is that a good one?
I have no idea.
Me neither. I don't even
I
remember.
feel like any cast iron is good. There's a lot of I have my bougie stuff, you know.
It's iron. How can it really be different?
Right. So here's the question: do I give my kids the really nicely formed pizza, or do I give the kids the one with a funky shape?
Are they gonna care?
No, you're right.
All right.
What do you want? I don't know if anybody can see my dog.
Yes.
What? Get. So where are you at now? Oh, you're saucing?
Saucy. Getting saucy over here, Mike.
I love it. I support it.
All right, so let's see if we can get the camera over here for the sauce. So we're not dousing it with sauce,
Okay.
which this is usually about what it seems like is what you get at most pizza places.
Nice, yeah.
It's enough.
Yep.
So I think next we'll throw some cheese on there.
What kind of cheese you doing?
Mozzarella.
Sweet.
So yeah, even have the Stop and Shop brand of mozzarella.
Stop and shop.
So we're going super high end.
Love it. I'm just getting out of the oven for a second. Let's replace you with you.
And as light as we go with the sauce, cheese. We want a lot of cheese on there.
What? Okay. So I'm going to do my onions and stuff on the bottom.
Nice.
And then I'm going to cheese on top.
So I got my cheese going.
All right. Let's do that.
One more ingredient on mine. Oops.
Tell me.
Pepperoni. Oh, Pizza Bot. How do we get Pizza Bot back? Technical difficulties here. There we go.
If you have a favorite vegetable, not even for pizza, but for everything that you put on, or do you have a vegetable that you cook with all the time?
Not really. I like mushrooms.
For me, onions end up in everything.
Onions are fun to cook and saute. Just sometimes they take forever.
Onion? Yeah. Yeah, that's why I pre-cook them. Well, for pizza I do, but
Yeah.
but
Especially
when I'm barbecuing, I cut an onion in half, a little bit of salt on it, a little bit of oil, and then it just goes on the barbecue for 45 minutes and cooks. It's wonderful.
because I also like to cook down some onions and peppers for sausage, but that usually requires like 4 or 5 entire onions, and that's a good 45 minutes at least to put those down.
So I am using wet mozzarella. I'm not using shred. And there's a method to my madness.
You making like a margarita there?
Kind of, because the cheese does melt and it does spread, but it has a nice saltiness to it, to be honest, a nice cleanness.
There. I like covering my pizza in pepperoni.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a good amount of cheese, completely covered in pepperoni. And now this is just going to be about 8 to 10 minutes in the oven.
Okay.
So that sucker's done.
So are you making a pizza for you, or is this like the family approved pizza?
Family approved. Because I think for the second one, I'm going to use, instead of pizza sauce, use some barbecue sauce.
Ketchup works too.
Okay. I'll take your word for that one.
That's the influence of Andy Piazza. He's very mean to me.
So we don't get distracted. We'll set a timer. Oops.
And I will say, if you have your pizza like this, now is the time to add seasoning on top of your cheese, because it will cook into it. If you're unhappy with the flavoring below, or if you would just want to amend the flavoring below.
So you can use something like Italian seasoning.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't even know what it is, but it just says that it's Italian seasoning.
I wonder what they call Italian seasoning in Italy. Is it just seasoning?
Seasoning, kind of like in France, it's just toast.
Right? Those baguette-loving sons of gooses.
Yeah, but those things are good.
Right?
I was just there last week, and Saturday afternoon was the best because we did the stereotypical French thing.
Smart Americans? Oh.
Walked from our hotel.
Love it.
Stopped in a bread shop. What are those things called now? Not the patisserie, but the other one.
Pain boulangerie.
Yeah, the boulangerie. Got the big, I even have pictures of the big baguette thing sticking out of my backpack, bottle of wine, whole bunch of cheese, plopped down right in front of the Eiffel Tower, just sat there.
Can I kick out Pizza Bot now?
What's that?
Can I kick out the Pizza Bot?
Yeah, you can kick out the Pizza Bot.
Okay.
See it.
Okay.
So yeah, that was nice, just because it's totally legal in France to just sit out and drink wine.
I love that.
Yeah.
Who's hurting anybody drinking a sip of wine? Nobody. Goodness gracious.
But I was told it's not illegal to drink, but it's illegal to be drunk, which that makes sense.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I do drink wine. I do drink scotch and I do drink whiskey. Don't get me wrong, but I haven't been drunk in probably 30 years, 25, at least 25 years. I have definitely been like, I'm going to stop drinking now.
Yep.
But I haven't been, I'm out of control, taking my clothes off and running down the street, which I should.
Well, at least not in a drunken way.
No, I'm content with that. Nudity is just part of my allure.
I was gonna ask you, since you're a Canadian, do you follow hockey?
So do you know? Sorry, before we go there, do you know Stephen Guthrie?
I don't.
He says, "Hello, chefs. Love today's episode."
Thanks,
His kids love pizza. Stephen, I don't know where you are, my friend, but there's a restaurant down the road from me. I'm in New Hampshire, and it's called the Pizza Loft, and they make great pizza. They really do. But when you bring your kids there, they give your kids pizza dough and some flour for them to play with at the table.
That's the best.
Yeah, it's amazing. You walk away looking like Saruman, or not Saruman, like the Urukai, excuse me. But it's like the greatest thing ever. And hello back. And Stephen, if you ever want to come on the show and cook, just come on Twitter, let us know. So I am Canadian, yes, but as of last week, I'm American too. I took the oath of citizenship last week.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful experience.
So you know more about our country than Americans do.
So I make a joke and say that I'm more American than you are, because I actually had to study and take an oath in order to be it. But that's obviously not true. But it was cool. It took 10 years, but
yeah, in college I actually took a class that was only the amendments of the Constitution.
Oh wow, 27, crazy. And I know there's 27 of them. Thank you very much, because I had to study
and know every single one.
Yep.
Know the 5 freedoms in the First Amendment.
Life or speech, religion. You actually don't have to remember all of those, to be honest. But yeah, it was a fun experience. My mother-in-law. So like Memorial Day, was my first Memorial Day as an American, and she's like, "Did it feel different?" And it did, But the reason it didn't feel different because it's Memorial Day, but it felt different because, for the last 5. So I've had a green card for 5 years. Okay. For all of those years in a green card, you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can apply and rah. And I'm not going to say anything political because it's not the time, but it became a little bit more important to become a citizen since November than before. So it felt different in the sense that it was nice to feel a part of something, okay, rather than being an unwelcome part of something, I guess you could say. And don't get me wrong, I've never felt unwelcome in this country, but
but now you can vote and actually do something about it.
Yeah. I think voting is so important. It's not even funny. Even if it's inconvenient and you have to wait 20 minutes out of your life, I think it's, whatever direction you turn, make sure your voice is heard with the pen and paper or the pencil.
Yep. Or just tapping a screen on the computer.
Right. So yeah, and to your question, I can't stand hockey. Hate it.
You hate hockey?
Can't stand it.
Wow. You really are not Canadian.
And that's why they kicked me out, my friend.
Wow. Can you at least skate?
Yeah, I could. When I was a kid, so I was born in 1974. So probably in, that was a bad idea grabbing that by hand, but oh well. Probably in 1970, 1978, 1979.
Check this
You
out.
know, show me. Oh, bacon.
Yeah.
It's a thick piece of bacon.
Yeah, I'm going to chop this up, fry it up, and throw that on the next pizza.
Fuck yeah. When I was a kid, kids had to go to hockey school. So more learn how to skate, but more learn fundamentals of hockey and rah rah rah. But back then, being a little bit mean to the kids wasn't a big deal. It was just kind of expected. So, having a coach, smack you in the ankles because you were ankle burning, or tripping you because you weren't skating well, or hitting you in the hips because you weren't skating with your stick down, was pretty normal.
Made the game not fun.
Say again?
That made the game not fun.
Yeah. So from there, I was kind of like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Goodness gracious.
Which province did you grow up in?
Ontario.
Okay, near Toronto.
So I was born in Etobicoke, Ontario, which is a suburb of Toronto, a northern suburb of Toronto. And then I moved from Toronto to a place called Cookstown, which is a very, very small town north of Toronto, a little bit south of a town called Barrie. So about an hour north of Toronto, but there was 900 people in town. So I went from this area with millions of people in public transportation at 15 years old into we call it the boonies, into the boonies of Ontario. Best thing that could happen, I guess.
And then you moved to New Hampshire.
Well, so I went from Ontario to Chicago. That's where I ended up going on my work permit.
Okay.
And the permit I got, everybody asked me, like, what kind of permit did you get? But I came to the U.S. on an L1. So transfer of employee executive. I went to Chicago. And then, my girl's in, Massachusetts. So I'm coming here, she's going there, back and forth. And I'd kind of had, she'd had enough. We'd had enough. And I walked into my boss's office, and I had booked a meeting with him and our CFO, and said, "I love it here." I said, "But my girl's in Massachusetts, so I either need to move there and be happy, and if that means I need to resign here, then today's my resignation." And they both said, "Well, have a good time in Massachusetts. We'll see you on Monday morning."
That's a good company.
Yep. So I moved to Mass. I'm not there anymore because they were really nice people, but they paid terribly, as most companies do when you've been there for like 17 years. So
that's the only way to make more money is to leave.
Sad but true. I think a lot of that mentality back in the day of, well, don't hire that person. They've been working at 10 different places in the last 10 different years.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that seems to be ending, as folks with better mentalities take over. But yeah, unfortunately, the only way to make money now is to leave. It used to be different.
Yeah.
I always said that, the company that I was working at before, I'd always said, "Oh, I'm going to retire from here." And after 17 years, when you're like, "Hey, listen, things are different in the world now. My role is worth X and you're paying me Y, and we need to get as close to Y as possible." And the company says, "No,
Yeah. Yeah, I used to work for a place that in multiple years I was getting like 1.5%, 2% raises.
Oh, yeah. Garbage.
Then I went out and interviewed at a different company. They offered me a 40% raise.
Oh, yeah.
When I gave my notice, they were like, "We'll match it." I'm like,
You should have done that 2 years ago.
exactly.
Yeah.
No. No.
I like when you review if you're like in a finance kind of area, or if you're in somewhere where there's like a contractual thing, the your ability to increase pricing year over year can depend on two factors, and one of those factors is basically inflation. So you can suggest that we're going to go to the site, see what this inflation average is, then we're going to take that inflation average, and then we're going to put +3 on it, or +6, or whatever your multiplier is. But it's somehow taboo to do that with employment, which I think is hilarious. I'm someone that employs a considerable amount of people, so I tend to have not confrontations, that's the terrible way to put it, but I tend to have a difference of opinion when it comes to pay, because I know, in some scenarios, we could pay more, and better said, we should pay more.
Right.
But yeah, the protection of bottom line, or of the bottom line, is so important. It's hard to get through those conversations.
Yeah, the whole idea of nickel and diming people and trying to hire somebody for 10, 15,000 less than the job is budgeted for makes no sense. Like,
It's garbage.
just give it to them. Now they're going to be even happier. You're going to retain them.
Yeah. I'd had somebody in my old life, in my old job, I was advocating for an increase with HR for a person, and the person was very deserving. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gone to bat as intensely as I did. But when the people that you're talking to says, "Well, we can just hire somebody different for less anyways," you're like, "Well,
you're going to get what you pay for."
You get what you pay for. Yeah. Or when you look at folks, you look at folks that have been with a company for a really long time, folks that have been like 20 years, that started at scale 20 years ago, and have only really been, up 20% because of those increases year over year, say 30%, 40%. The scale has changed 90%. What was that?
That was bacon.
That was a crack?
Yeah.
Damn.
It didn't even hit the floor. It's a little hot.
So I'm good to pull my main pizza in probably 3 minutes.
Okay. I think mine's ready.
How are you?
I think it's ready. Yeah. The sucker's ready. Say, get that up there. Check that out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we're molding.
Do you cut in that pan?
No, only because I can't really fit in it all that well, so I'll take it out and put it on a cutting board.
Chicken.
Let it cool a little bit.
Do you cut with a roller or a knife?
No.
Knife.
Surprised the family hasn't come down yet to say, "Where's my dinner?"
Right, just have to text my wife and tell her where we are. What was that? Get angry.
All right.
Here, let me pull this. Oh.
So do you have any idea who's next on the Unicorn Chef?
I don't actually. How does this look?
Oh, look at that.
I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this.
I think this actually looks like pizza.
Oh. That does look pretty.
See, we got little crispy edges. One of my favorite things with this is there's like no actual crust, like pizza crust to the edges.
Yeah.
Still, my kid refuses to eat to the edges because you don't eat the whole.
What?
Yeah, there's no pizza crust there, but the kid still stops where the crust would be.
Do you have a son or a daughter?
Oh, a daughter, college kid.
Tell her she's ridiculous. If she's listening right now, you're ridiculous. Eat your pizza. Go to your room.
Oh, she's
I
in her
don't know
room.
I don't know if that's helpful either. So hang on. I have to take a picture for social after this. Bear with me.
What? Oh, I have to do that too?
Oh, I would.
Well, what do you mean you would? You just did.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to cut with a knife because I am a Neanderthal.
Okay.
So when you're in Chicago next week, are you going to do deep dish?
Probably not, because I'm actually doing a one-day round trip. I'm flying first thing in the morning and then coming back at the end of the day.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
No time for Portillo's even. That's sad.
Nope. One of those things when the company's paying, I try to keep it as affordable as possible.
That's not what I do. No, I'm kidding. That's terrible. And I'm only saying that because there's probably people from my company that are watching right now. That isn't what I do. I'm much more frugal than that.
You're responsible with the funds.
I am trustworthy.
I mean, like Bryson trusts you with his cooking show.
You would think.
Why?
I look looking in the oven seeing cheese cooking. There's something very homely about that.
Seeing cheese melting is nice.
Hmm.
So what's one of the most interesting or difficult things that you've had to make on here?
Difficult? Honestly, Raoul's street tacos, that was tough. The way to cook rice correctly is very dependent on your heat control.
Okay.
And I definitely screwed it up. That's where this joke of me burning something comes into play. I burnt the rice, and the smoke alarms went off on that show. That's true, but it's not because of the rice. But yeah, I burnt that rice so badly it was hideous. And we're going to take a bite of our cooking in a couple seconds. And when I had to take a bite of it, it was the worst thing ever. But I had to sit there and go, so delicious, my goodness. In the back of my mind, I'm like, don't evacuate your stomach. That was hard.
And this quickly so I can turn it off.
Yep. The easiest thing I've ever cooked was broiled salmon with Rob. It was by far the easiest thing. That's the episode that we got or I got in trouble, because at the beginning we were talking for like 15 minutes. And Bryson came on. I was like, "Are you guys going to cook?" Like, it's fucking baked salmon.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Right. So, are you plated?
Well, I'm still on the cutting board, but that's close enough. Yeah, look at that.
Hang on. Let me just take a quick picture of us with the cameras up. Hang on. Because, I like social media. Trying to find an angle. Sorry. All right. How is it? Trying to eat.
We have to actually eat this?
Yeah. That's the only way that people actually believe that what we're doing is actually cooking. Mm-hmm.
So good. Best pizza I've ever had.
I don't care what anybody says. Guanciale is amazing. Oh, shit. I didn't even put pepper in it. Oh, well. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
I ate it.
What is it?
What do you have?
Getting the red pepper flakes. Oh, they are. Usually have a whole bunch of them in here. Oh, there they are. So yeah, gotta put the red pepper flakes on the pizza.
Yummy. You like spicy food?
Oh yeah. Well. So yeah.
All right.
I think we did it.
The pizza's delicious.
Pizza's delicious. Hopefully people come to Layer 8 on June 14th, Boston, Mass. Gift edition.
Even if you're not a local person.
Yeah, come. You have people coming internationally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a ton of value to it. I would say meeting with Patrick.
I'll be there.
Because he'll be there. Is awesome.
I want to have pizza with me though.
Right? Despite what everybody says about Patrick, he's a really sorry. I have to take this hit, or else it's going to burn. It's that moment when you smell it, you're like, "Oh, hang on, that's not."
Yeah, that's burning.
Yeah. Also see Patrick next week at the at B-Sides 312,
Chicago.
Cook. Enjoy cooking. Whether you're in, the community itself or you're adjacent to the community, everyone's welcome. If you want to cook, if you want to come on the show, you don't have to be anything but able to put something in an oven. So reach out to us on all the social medias at Unicorn Chef on X. We're on Twitch at unicorn_chef and on YouTube at Unicorn Chef. Always here, always happy to help. Patrick, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Always fun.
And we'll do it again. But if you have nothing else, I'm going to go finish. I'm actually going to eat. I'm probably going to eat 3/4 of this, to be honest.
And then the family can have the other quarter.
Well, I cooked one for them anyways. But
I think my family's probably watching this live upstairs. So you can come back down now.
And eat the crust, child. Eat the crust. Goodness me.
Hair on your chest.
All right. Good night, Unicorn Chef.